My parent-in-law treated me like a maid and always told me how to raise my baby, so I made my husband choose to move out or be with his toxic parents. My husband and I live with his parents. His father had some health issues and needed some care, so we agreed to move in to help out. Father-in-law is generally doing better now, but there are still a few things he can't do anymore that my husband does now instead. We've discussed moving out, but my in-laws are very resistant to the idea, stating that there's plenty of room here, and they don't know what they do without us. While we don't pay his parents to live here, we pay for groceries for everyone and several household bills, electricity, internet, and TV packages. I also clean the household and cook. I arrange and take all their pets to their veterinary appointments, too. I do work from home, so this is easier for me, and I can be flexible. We also pay half of any house modifications as it'll be your house one day. Recently, I have begun to feel resentful of the fact that once they are all done with work, they can come home and relax, whereas I finish work, have to cook and clean and have no help. On the weekends, I spend half of the day cleaning the house while they do what they want. This all came to a head last week. I was really unwell. I felt the worst I've ever felt and wanted nothing more than to sleep. However, once it got around dinner time, I was woken by my mother-in-law, so I asked when I was getting up to make dinner. I didn't want to cause an argument, so I just got up and made dinner for them, but as I was in the kitchen struggling not to pass out, the three of them sat watching a movie, waiting for me to bring in their food. I didn't say anything at first. I waited until my husband and I were alone to bring up my concerns with the lack of help. My husband apologized and offered to help more, which I accepted, but the next day was an exact repeat. I had to drag myself out of bed to cook, and once I'd brought in their food, my mother-in-law said, "Oh, you look truly awful. Poor you. Oh, by the way, later, would you mind giving everywhere an extra clean? I don't want to get whatever you have." At which point I accused them of treating me like a live-in maid and not caring about me outside of the services I provide for them. I pointed out that I wouldn't be in the communal areas if I hadn't been dragged out to cook and that they could have handled one meal themselves. My husband sat there in silence. He thinks I should have brought it up more carefully at a time when I wasn't so emotional. I agree that I probably should have, but I was sick and stressed. I want to move out, but my husband and in-laws are still against it. Nothing has changed with what they expect from me. I got no apology, just silent treatment from mother-in-law for a couple of days. Update: I started putting my wages into my own bank account. I removed all of my savings from our joint savings account and transferred everything from my own safety account, just in case. This turned out to be the best decision because I found out I was pregnant for roughly 2 weeks. I'd been told at 15 that due to some medical conditions, I'd never be able to get pregnant naturally, so it was a complete shock. Once I had a scan to check everything was okay, we told my in-laws, and this is what gave me the final shove I needed. Immediately, names were being thrown around, and my mother-in-law started talking about reducing her hours to early retirement so she could be around to raise the baby. This rubbed me completely the wrong way. I didn't want anyone else raising my baby. The nursery's colors and themes were all discussed constantly, but never with me, or my opinions are taken into consideration. Within a week, I felt as though I was just an incubator. The final straw happened when my husband's cousin and mother-in-law went shopping. I had been looking at the different kinds of breast pumps before being told that I would be bottle feeding so everyone could help out. I didn't want to cause a scene in the middle of the shop, so I moved on to outfits, but everything I picked up or looked at was either the wrong color or style or something. I picked out one outfit, which would be my first baby purchase, and mother-in-law snatched it out of my hands before I could pay, telling me that it was the wrong sort of outfit, it wasn't gender neutral enough, and if the baby is a boy like we're hoping then it's far too feminine. I didn't need to be told what I could and couldn't dress my child in, nor did I appreciate the suggestion that they would all prefer a boy, let alone being told how I would be feeding my child. So, I left. I tried talking to my husband on 3 separate occasions, and he either made excuses or blew me off entirely. I couldn't handle it anymore. I packed my bags and went to stay with my sister for a week. My husband called once and asked me to go home. Once I made it clear, I wouldn't be returning to live in that house. I would raise the baby on my own if he didn't want to leave, but I would not allow my child to be raised in such a toxic environment. As a big surprise to no one, he stayed put. After that, I got spammed with texts in the family group chat, but I left and deleted them all. I've started the divorce process, and hopefully, as I've saved everything disgusting messages from either my ex or his family about both myself and my baby, they won't get any form of custody. Although, since I announced the gender, they've all gone quite silent. I now have a small 3-bedroom house. I'm only renting it for now while I wait for the divorce to finalize, but it's big enough for the 2 of us. My daughter will grow up surrounded by my family and plenty of cousins to play with. The house is pretty bare at the minute as I only got the keys a couple of days ago, but I have time before she arrives to ensure everything is ready.